this year, but I had a really fun time going, and Mr. and Miss Allison have provided us with a great opportunity to go on these trips and do these awesome conferences. We had a lot of other teams who did well also. I had to do a lot of interviews and stuff while I was there to finish off the event, but it was a tough thing that we did, but I'm proud that we were able to do it, and we put in a lot of work this year to do better than what we did last year.
Hi, my name's Christian Lau. I'm a senior at Mountain Vista, and I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Allisons and Douglas County for placing just caring so much about CTE education and valuing learning both in and outside of the classroom, and just allowing us to grow in our technical skills as we head towards college.
Hi, I'm Nathan Gossett, and this is my first year of TSA, and all my friends were doing it before me, and I'm like, wow, this club seems really cool, so I joined, and the first day it was just really cool. It was really hands-on, and I just really loved it, and we just made a bunch of films, and so I also thank DCSD for implementing such a cool program into our school, and that I was able to discover it and, do it, so.
I'm Katie Allison. We are proud of these guys, and we just thank them and thank you guys for supporting CTE and the CTSO that goes with it, which is TSA, even though I teach math, but we do thank you for that. So.
Now, I understand some other student participants are not here tonight and a coordinator, or is everyone here tonight?
Well, we have other teams that participated with us. We took 9 kids to nationals, and we had a great showing, actually. But this is our first place team, and it's our first in nationals. So we were, yeah.
Okay.
So
A first place. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. Before we do our photo op, I'm sure Director Lemieux has a few comments and a couple certificates. Is that correct?
First of all, congratulations. First place at Nationals is an incredible accomplishment. But I also heard you said 4th place, 9th place, and 10th place as well. Incredible. So congratulations. That speaks a lot to the quality of employees that we have that really care about our kids. And we are continuing to support any of that programming. That's why we do what we do, so we can get you guys the resources you need. So congratulations. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Photo op. Nate is here to take a quick photo of us. Way to go, guys. Congratulations. Way to go. Good job. Thanks, Ken. Way to go.
Great job. Good job, you guys.
Okay, this wraps up our student and staff recognition. We'll now turn it back over to the board.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tucker, and thank you, parents and students, for sharing the good news. Next on our agenda is the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
Holtzman motioned, Vogel seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. Chancho Shore?
Aye.
Holtzman?
Aye.
Lemieux?
Aye.
Lung?
Aye.
Ray, aye, and Vogel.
Aye.
Next on our agenda is public comment. The board values hearing diverse viewpoints from a broad spectrum of citizens throughout our community, specifically items listed on tonight's agenda and on issues that impact the educational needs of our students. 2 policies guide how public comment to the board is received. Board Policy KE, Public Complaints, and Board Policy BEDH, Public Participation at Board Meetings. Board Policy KE outlines the process for responding to grievances and complaints, and explains the board believes that complaints and grievances are best handled and resolved as close to the origin of concern as possible. Policy BEDH also explains that since the board's responsibility is setting policy for the school district, Members of the public school should direct their comments to policy matters and notes further that citizens are strongly encouraged to contact the teacher, building principal, or superintendent first with questions or concern. The board would like for all discourse in this room to occur in an atmosphere of mutual respect. Everyone in this room plays an important part in modeling appropriate behavior and promoting a climate of mutual respect. To maintain this decorum of respect, I would ask that speakers refrain from using individual names in an offensive manner, as this only distracts from the issue of concern. Throughout the board meeting, the board follows Robert's Rules of Order to guide it in participating in an orderly and fair conducted meeting. Under those rules, if a director calls for a point of order, all discussions and comments should stop so that a determination can be made as to whether a procedural rule or board policy has been violated. Therefore, if a point of order is made while public comments are being made, a speaker should stop until otherwise directed to continue. Each speaker tonight is allotted up to 3 minutes to address the board. Please know that this is our time to just listen without engaging in discussion. However, your comments will be reflected upon as we discuss this agenda item that you are addressing. So now as we proceed with public comment, I would like to have these folks come forward, and then we will always call the person that follows. So the Porter family, Sarah Porter, Marc Porter, Corey Porter, feel free to come up to the front row, and then we will start with Sarah, and followed by Mark, and then followed by Cody. My apologies, Corey.
I'm always first to sign up. So here we are, pretty much exactly a year later, 1 year to the date, and you all still refuse our request to update the JLCDB medical cannabis policy. It's clear that the parents here are the only ones in this room that want to work to achieve positive change for Benjamin Juan and our daughter Marley. We are so disappointed and dissatisfied that we have been transparent, we've been honorable, and we have not been treated with the same integrity. This is about chronically ill, special needs students who have life-threatening illnesses. This is about children being excluded from their right to a free public education because you don't want to change a policy that there are clear guidelines in place for. And Benjamin Juan's life is at risk every day that he is in your schools without his rescue medicine. None of you board members can admit this or say those words out loud, can you? Marley Porter's health is already precarious, and she will decline over the next few months, forcing us to keep her home so that she can have access to her medical cannabis. I challenge all of you to put yourselves in my shoes, my husband's shoes. Are you allowed to leave your office, your meetings, your appointments, your agendas, so that you can go to the school and give your child their medicine? Can you leave work for an hour or more every day to do this 5 days a week? Dr. Tucker, you gonna let everybody leave work for an hour or more to go give their kids medicine if they need to? I don't think you all could do that. I will never stop saying that by not updating the JLCDB policy, that you are knowingly excluding and discriminating against Marley Porter and Benjamin Juan and other kids like them and their right to a free, appropriate public education. I think that you all need to do your jobs and vote on this. If it's 1 student, 10 students, 300 students, if you can't handle taking care of them, how are you going to handle taking care of the other 68,000 students in this county?
Thank you, Mrs. Porter. Marc Porter is up next, and after Mark again is Corey.
Good evening, Marc Porter from Castle Rock. I'm here again to request an update to policy JLCDB. For over a year now, we have requested this change and have been denied for a number of reasons. Information has been provided to rebut and clarify said reasons, but yet the same reasons are given. Unreal. So I turn to all of you. Help, please. My daughter Marley is 13 years old and suffers from severe Crohn's disease. We treat her disease with cannabis oil 4 times a day as prescribed, which requires her to take her medicine at school. Under current policy, only my wife and I can administer her medicine. A law was passed last year that would allow school personnel to give my daughter her medicine. But this board won't even vote. President Ray will tell you all after this public comment session, and I quote from last public comment, "We will not change the policy as we are happy with it." Happy with it. Unreal. So you're happy that the current policy puts students at risk. You're happy that the undercurrent policy, if Benjamin Juan has a seizure, his life-saving medicine is not there to save his life. Happy that my daughter may not receive her medicine as prescribed due to mom and dad having to work and unable to get there. Real life problems. There was a law passed that allows you to change the policy, but you won't. Eagle County did. I don't know how they did it. Wow. Why? Do they not receive the same funding as you guys? Do they not abide by the same Colorado and federal law that you guys abide by? Of course they do, and you know it. You knowingly sit there and be ignorant. I know you wish we would give up and go away. No way, no how. I'm just getting warmed up. My daughter has fought for the last 7 years and continues to fight every day, and I will fight for her. Every day. I stand with Marley. I stand with Ben. I stand with all the kids that your ignorance neglects. Update the power.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Is Corey Porter here? Nope. All right. Daniel Jensen. After Daniel Jensen is Amber Juan. Is Daniel Jensen here? All right. Amber Juan, and then after Amber is Brad Juan.
Good evening, board directors. I'd like to address the comments made by board president after each public comment. When we request an update of the JLCDB policy, he states that the board is not going to revisit or request that the school district administration and board find that the current policy is sufficient and remains as is. But it's a false statement to claim that this is it, because it doesn't go far enough in cases of emergencies. I can tell you that we are not satisfied with the outcome, hence why we keep returning and requesting an update. As you know, the law was passed, and that would give districts the ability to opt in and update the JLCDB policy, which is what we will remain to ask for until it is implemented. Here is why. The current JLCDB policy is, or as I said, does not go far enough in cases of an emergency, which should be top priority for anyone on this board and in the district administration and any school personnel. The school district's current emergency plan for kids with epilepsy is not our plan. So how will the school district address the risks as they do for kids they have no idea will ever go into anaphylactic shock, yet the school district stores medication in the presumptive measure to be proactive to save a child's life. But when a family comes to you and says that my child has epilepsy, which is a life-threatening seizure disorder for most with the diagnosis because it's medical cannabis, we all get to be stonewalled by the very person set up in the district as compliance officer for non-discrimination and ADA is none other than our assistant superintendent, and the one that our school board and current superintendent put in charge of our request a year ago. The very person discriminating against our children and never had any intentions to help kids. We have provided supporting documentation from our son's prescribing physician to use medical cannabis in the form of a nasal rescue spray, but the current policy will not allow it to be on school grounds to be used by school personnel in which it was designed for immediate emergency relief. So what is the district going to do about this still? Daring us to sue the district does not help our son before he graduates in May with a lengthy lawsuit, and wouldn't help the other kids. Just to prove that a judge ruling that the district's choices are wrong, we don't need to pay for a judge to tell us what the court of public opinion can see for themselves, whether you decide to change your minds and actually help kids. The ball is in your court again, Dr. Tucker. Hashtag I stand with Ben.
Thank you, Ms. Juan. Brad Juan. After Brad is Kenda Greene Newman.
Good evening, Douglas County School Board. My name is Brad Juan. I'm a resident here in Highlands Ranch. My son is Benjamin Juan. We are here to talk about changing the medical cannabis policy. It has been just over a year since we originally approached you with this topic. So the last 2 weeks of last year's school, my son's medicine was placed on his principal's desk. It was received for 217 hours, night and day, for 2 straight weeks. My son's life-saving medicine stayed up at school. No federal involvement, no loss of funding, no sheriff's department, no nothing other than a safe environment for my son. We asked for a meeting with the school district over the summer, and all we got was excuses. We were told that we were on vacation. They were on vacation. They were out of town, in committees, anything they could do to not meet with us. My wife on Tuesday, prior to the start of school, came up here and told you the medicine was going to be back to school, and it did. It was received by the school, checked in by the school, and kept at the school. I returned home, and I got a threatening phone call from the assistant superintendent, who explained to me that if this medicine came back to the school grounds, Douglas County School District would serve my wife and I with a no trespassing warrant to not come back to school grounds. So you're willing to place my son in grave danger by not allowing a rescue medication on school grounds. Why is that? We had an agreement that the medicine would stay with my son and we would pick it up at the end of the day. By 2:30, 15 minutes before my son gets out of school, you had an armed security guards come to my house to deliver my lawful medicine for my son to our home, separating him from the only thing that can save his life. I immediately called the head SRO, Sergeant Tucker, who informed me that the school district called him to escort my son's medicine to our house. The head resource officer informed the school district that they would not, that the medicine is my son's property. The property is obtained legally, and this is breaking no laws. That the superintendent and assistant superintendent took it upon themselves to put hundreds of kids at risk while security guards left school, left kids unprotected to come to my house to deliver something we were picking up 15 minutes later. So let me explain to you the importance of all this. The sheriff's department has told you that my son's medicine is lawful. They have told you that he is breaking no laws. He is not a criminal. He has lawfully obtained his medication, and that we are not breaking any laws other than school policy. We're asking you to change this policy because we stand with Benjamin. And shame on you guys, honestly. You have absolutely no ground to stand on. You're hiding policy inside the school website. You need to expose it. You're breaking state law. Go read it. Mary, same with you. You know where it's at. We called the school district. We asked them where it was, and they couldn't.
Mr. Juan, thank you. Next is Kenda Greene Newman. After Kenda Greene Newman is Judy Reynolds.
here tonight to ask the board to make a revision to its JLCDB policy to include provisions to allow for the storage and administering of cannabinoid-based medications in Douglas County schools. Our journey with epilepsy started 9 years ago. Our perfectly healthy daughter deteriorated into a sick, scared little girl who is suffering from upwards of 15 seizures a day. Throughout her life, our daughter has tried 4 different seizure medications. Some have caused severe rashes. One has caused her to have suicidal thoughts. All of her medications have become less effective over time, which is a common occurrence in epileptics, and it causes breakthrough seizures for her. We've gotten calls from her older sister, from her friends at school, from school nurses. We drive to school, pick her up, or treat her with emergency meds, and pray that she never suffers from a grand mal seizure, or worse, SUDEP, which is unexplained death in epilepsy. Traditional pharmaceuticals alone are failing our daughter, and we need a better solution. But as a Douglas County school student who wants to legally choose the use of cannabinoids, she would be breaking the district policy and subject to legal action, a child. I am failing to understand the separation between cannabinoid and traditional medications in regards to this policy. JLCDB clearly states that the policy will be upheld according to state law, yet the board cites federal law as a reason not to update the policy. In addition, a nurse has not always been available to administer my child's emergency meds at school, but someone other than myself has. Why would a cannabinoid medicine be any different? It's legal under state law, and definitely appears that the failure to even consider updates to this current policy are based in politics and misrepresentation of facts and laws rather than an obligation to, and I quote a lawyer from the district, support the learning and well-being of every student in this district. There are parents in schools all over that feel just like I do. I have a job that connects me with children with disabilities, and today I met a beautiful young girl and her mother. The daughter suffers from severe disabilities, including epilepsy, and has a severe resistance to traditional drugs and emergency seizure treatments. On the verge of tears, that mother told me that she didn't want to give up hope that a cannabinoid medicine would be better for her daughter, but her desire to be in compliance with district policies, and more importantly, her fear that her child would not be properly treated at school and would die from a seizure, were keeping her from seeking additional treatment. She told me she feels discriminated against and fears retribution if she stands out against this policy. No student or parent should be discriminated against or villainized because we make a medical choice that is in the best benefit of our child. So I'm asking you to please consider a revision. I stand with Ben and Marley and Emily and all the kids in this district that you let down if you don't open your mind and consider it.
Thank you, Mrs. Newman. Judy Reynolds. After Judy is Matthew Solak.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Tucker. My name's Judy Reynolds. I'm a parent of 2 current Douglas County students and 1 Douglas County high school graduate, and also the former vice president of this board. I'm here tonight to ask you to revise board policy JLCBD. When this policy was introduced and passed in July of 2016, it was groundbreaking in that Douglas County was the 2nd district in the state to pass such a policy. The policy was the result of Jack's Law being passed by the legislature earlier that year. This policy came into being because of the request of parents in the district whose students needed medical marijuana or hemp products as part of their daily medical regimens. Then, just as now, there was pushback and concern from the staff. But this was, and it is, about what's doing best for students. Now, because there have been changes to the statute by the legislature in 2018, it's time to update the policy. This is a health and safety issue for these students, and it's time to make changes to the policy that will benefit them. Allowing students to receive their medication as needed by a medical professional or in an emergent situation simply makes sense. It is how any other prescription medicine is handled by the staff, and these students and their parents deserve access to their medication when they need it. These medicines are no different than those carried by students who have an EpiPen or a rescue inhaler. They are life-saving medications, that need to be administered in a timely manner, or there may be dire health consequences for the student. Time is of the essence in an emergency health situation, and these students need their medications available to them. It is time to truly advocate for all students and change the policy so that it is in line with the current state statute and guidelines. It is clear that this minority of students is not having their needs met, and their ability to take and use their physician-prescribed medications is being impeded. For these students, it is a health and safety issue. The initial policy was passed by a 6-0 vote, including 3 members of this current board. The board is currently reviewing and revising policy. Why is this policy not being updated and reviewed? A policy that was originally designed to help students and now can be revised to help them more. Over the course of the last 2 years, I have heard a great deal from this board and superintendent about unity of purpose and assuring the community that they can and will meet the needs of all students who attend Douglas County schools. This is an opportunity to show the community that you can and do care for those students who face daily challenges that most of us can't even imagine by simply giving them access to their medication at school. Please do the right thing for these students and update policy JLCBD. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. Matthew Solak. After Matthew is Gary Colley.
Hello. Thank you, Board of Directors, Dr. Tucker, and staff for allowing me to speak today. My name is Matthew Solak, and I have been teaching Chinese at Legend High School since it opened in 2008, and have been a proud member of the Douglas County Federation since new teacher orientation my first day as a teacher. My daughter attends Cimarron Middle School as an 8th grader and will be coming to Legend next year. I want you to know that the Douglas County Federation is an organization of teachers and staff who support the board and statements and appreciate the work the directors and superintendent have done to help rebuild the district out of the mess that was left behind by the previous board. It is not easy work. The board has brought back respect, transparency, and rational decision-making, which has helped begin to heal our community, and for that, we thank you for all your work. There is still a lot of work to be done, and teachers and staff would like a stronger, more meaningful voice in how we implement policies to achieve the board and statements. This is why on the June 4th board meeting, we presented the board with petitions signed by over 3,700 teachers and staff asking for a collective bargaining agreement. But I'm afraid there were some misunderstandings about the nature of this action, which I would like to clear up. The word petition often has negative connotations, like we are petitioning against something. But a petition is not necessarily a negative thing. It is simply asking for something. In this case, we are asking for what every other school district in the metro area has, collective bargaining. Why a petition? We used a petition with signatures because in order to ask for collective bargaining, we must demonstrate to you and the community that the majority of teachers and staff who would be affected by a collective bargaining agreement actually support being represented by such an agreement. It would have been irresponsible for us to ask for collective bargaining without demonstrating strong support among those represented by the agreement. We demonstrated over 60% support among all staff affected and over 70% support of certified teachers. That is a huge number of teachers and staff who want to be represented by collective bargaining agreement. And we respectfully ask the board to consider giving teachers and staff a strong collaborative voice for the future of our district, because this will give teachers and staff ownership, which will benefit all students and the community as a whole. This is a positive petition. We are asking to be more involved. This is a good thing. We support all the work you're doing. We hope you can support the 3,700 voices who want to be heard and involved in the future of our district. We have good ideas and simply want a stronger voice in how we achieve what we all want, the best district possible for our students. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Solak. Gary Colley. After Gary Colley is Amy DeBroni.
You're gonna have to start till she gets that thing around to you guys.
Okay.
Plus, I have to
why you stall?
remember what I'm supposed to do when I'm up here. Well, members of the board, feels like it's been a while since I've been up here. I want to make sure that my comments are, there's too much to cover. For example, I put down, I like to address 3 topics on the agenda, and there's others, of course, but I'm really going to just address 2. And I tried to put some notes here in a way that when you're going through your work session, you might be able to refer to them. Also, Kathy Lees was somebody who's very instrumental in helping the CAC, not just Kathy, but this past year on helping to develop a complaint process that's effective for parents, and hopefully the same thing is happening for staff. The first thing I wanted to address was item 16, where it has the parent engagement update. And the first is just a bullet point that they're asking people that want to know more about the county to sign up to be a cohort, or to join the cohort. And I did that today, because I think any parent or community member who wants to proactively engage in the district, they need to proactively engage in understanding how the district functions. So I put my name on that list, not that I'm looking for more to do. On the School Accountability Committee's part, when they talk about updating SAC resources, creating SAC training video modules, in looking at that, I'd really like to commend Marc Reynolds for the UIP improvement, the SAC role in the Unified School Improvement Plan. And the budget's not ready, so he didn't address that. But this has been lacking for quite some time, where parents who join SAC don't know how to engage in an effective discussion. What do they ask a principal? What is a principal supposed to give a SAC in a reasonable time, et cetera? And I think what Matt did in that video is exactly what is needed, especially the follow-up on it. Then also SAC trainings for school leaders at district leadership team meetings. There's different things that are noted there, but one of the questions I had regarding elections is my understanding, I know we've got SAC bylaws because the CAC helped to revise them, but my understanding is that there's possibly a board policy that suggests that principals can choose voting members to serve on SAC. And if that's true, that should be revised right off the bat, because the community, the superintendent doesn't choose board members. The community should choose SAC voting members. Just I don't know if that's true, but I think it should be checked. Also, on the Unified School Improvement and Budget, the parent engagement, complaints, and customer service portion of it, they suggest a SAC responsibility survey, but also, this is very key, I think, from the CAC perspective, explore a SAC monitoring process. How can you effectively monitor 61 SACs functioning the way they are supposed to per your bylaws? And when they're not monitoring it properly, how can that be corrected? Almost done. On the complaint process, if Kathy was here, she'd talk about this. The only thing I question here is if you look at the levels in the complaint process, the 3rd level is the final level, right? That also says the superintendent decision at level 3 is final. Well, that takes the Board of Education out of the equation if it's a significant issue like it was with a high school and a compliance issue with SAC. Just asking you to consider that. And the only thing on the strategic plan update is one of the things that says implementation, performance, and indicators to monitor progress. We need a proactive way to monitor progress on how parents and communities are involved in our school district. Thank you for letting me go over.
Thank you, Mr. Colley. Amy DeBroni? I got the name right, yes. After how many times, Amy?
Evening. Do you want me to wait, Tammy? You'll note that there's a card on top there. That's from my daughter. She couldn't be here tonight, but she wrote you a card. Good evening, members of the board. I'm here tonight on behalf of DC Kid to give you an update on the work of the district's dyslexia work group. A year ago, my daughter stood in front of this board and Dr. Tucker and asked that you help teach our teachers about dyslexia. She asked this to help ensure children who have this learning difference receive what they needed to be able to pursue their life goals